December 3rd, 2025. An 18-year-old student lies bleeding on the pavement. He tells police he is stabbed. The officer replies.
What's happened to you, alright?
Been stabbed.
You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
Henry Nowak was an 18-year-old British-Polish citizen who grew up in the Essex suburb of Chafford Hundred. He was the first in his family to attend university, studying at Southampton University on the southern coast of England. Described by his family as an ambitious and hard-working young man, he remained incredibly close to his father Mark, his mother Lucy, his stepmother Katie, and his sister Olivia. The timeline begins on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, marking the end of the university term. Henry left his student accommodation in the Portswood area of Southampton at 8:30 p.m. to spend the evening celebrating with his football teammates. Henry was not a regular drinker, and he did not generally drink to excess. Later that night, at exactly 11 o'clock p.m., CCTV captured him entering a pub called The Hobbit, located in Belvoir Valley. He walked into the establishment alone, but he left just a few minutes later without ever ordering a drink. Henry was completely unarmed as he began walking north towards his home. Toxicology reports later confirmed his blood alcohol level was below the legal driving limit. Dressed in a dark top and a shirt, he casually recorded videos on his phone and sent them to his friends via Snapchat as he navigated his route along Belmont Road. As he approached the junction with St. Denis Road, the timeline remained entirely ordinary. The streets were quiet, but at approximately 11:30 p.m., near that quiet junction, Henry encountered 23-year-old Vickrum Singh Digwa, a man who lived nearby with his parents. Digwa was an initiated Sikh and a member of the Nihang order. Because of this, he carried a traditional sword called a kirpan, alongside a second weapon, a 21-centimeter Indo-Persian dagger known as a peshkabz. While there were no eyewitnesses to the initial confrontation, the forensic evidence and official court records clearly established the facts of what happened next. Digwa approached Henry, telling the teenager that he was a bad man before grabbing his phone. A physical struggle likely followed, during which Digwa's turban was knocked from his head. The presiding judge later noted that this specific detail severely added to Digwa's anger. Digwa drew the 21-centimeter dagger from its sheath and deliberately stabbed Henry in the chest. The blade passed through several layers of clothing and traveled upwards through soft tissue, entering between the two uppermost ribs. Penetrating 8 centimeters deep, the dagger caught Henry's lung and severed a critical vein located directly behind his collarbone. Henry was completely defenseless. He was never able to put his hands up to protect himself, and he sustained 0 defensive wounds. Digwa continued the assault, stabbing Henry 3 more times, inflicting 2 deep wounds to the upper leg and a knife-tip injury to the lower abdomen. The blade also slashed across Henry's face, while Digwa remained completely uninjured.
Sorry, we just got attacked racially by some white person.
Have any weapons been involved?
No.
When 4 officers from the Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary arrived on the scene, the focus shifted entirely to their bodycam footage. This footage, eventually released to the public in June 2026, thoroughly documents the harrowing final minutes of Henry's life. Digwa immediately approached the arriving officers, claiming he was the victim of an unprovoked racist attack. His brother corroborated this fabricated story, and they both stated that no weapons were involved. The officers fully believed Digwa's account, resulting in them treating Henry as the primary suspect. As officers approached Henry on the ground, the teenager repeatedly pleaded with them. He clearly stated that he had been stabbed and told them that he could not breathe. While Henry was bleeding to death on the street, the officers pulled his hands behind his back and secured him in handcuffs. An officer formally read Henry his rights.
At the moment you are under arrest, and that's for assault, so you do not have to say anything, may harm in defence if you do not mention when questioned. So to which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, alright?
But they did not immediately provide any form of medical assistance. Shortly after the arrest was made, officers noticed that Henry had become unresponsive, causing the timeline to suddenly accelerate. The handcuffs were finally removed, an ambulance was immediately dispatched, and officers began administering CPR on the pavement. At 11:55 p.m., officers arrested Digwa on suspicion of attempted murder. However, Digwa was not handcuffed during his arrest and was transported without restraints.
11:55. Okay, it's important, mate. All right, at this time, I'm arresting you on suspicion of attempt murder. Okay? Do not have to say anything. It may harm your defence if you don't mention when questioned something which you may later rely on court. Anything you do so may be given evidence. Okay? The necessities are for a prompt and effective investigation. Okay? And for any further harm and injury. You've got your side of the story, mate. We don't know what's going on here. Okay? So we need to find out. Okay?
At 12:37 a.m. on December 4th, Henry Nowak was officially pronounced dead. Pathologist Amanda Jeffrey later examined Henry's body, confirming the devastating severity of the chest wound. She discovered that internal bleeding had rapidly filled his chest cavity, finding 1,200 milliliters of blood equating to over 2 pints. She firmly stated that no emergency medical treatment could have saved him, as the bleeding vein was entirely inaccessible, rendering all first aid and CPR completely futile. The trial concluded in May 2026 at the Southampton Crown Court, where Vickrum Digwa was convicted of murder and carrying a knife in public. The following month, Judge William Mousley KC delivered the sentence, handing Digwa a life term in prison with a minimum of 21 years. The judge harshly condemned Digwa's actions, stating that he had dishonored his religion and brought shame to his community. Digwa's mother, Kieran Kaur, was also found guilty and convicted of assisting an offender for hiding the weapon. When the official bodycam footage was released to the public, it sparked immediate national outrage. Protests erupted across Southampton in early June, which quickly escalated into widespread disorder. During these riots, 12 police officers and 1 police dog were injured, resulting in 17 people being jailed for their involvement. Sikh community leaders, including the Council of Southampton Gurdwaras, appealed for calm while strongly condemning Digwa's violent actions. Public trust in the policing system heavily fractured, prompting Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer to state that there were serious questions that needed to be answered.
This has understandably been devastating for his parents, for his family, and everybody who knew him. And I have seen the footage. It's harrowing.
Consequently, the Independent Office for Police Conduct launched an official investigation, placing 2 officers under gross misconduct probes. Investigators are heavily scrutinizing their failure to provide immediate first aid and examining why they ignored Henry's pleas that he had been stabbed. The watchdog is also assessing a much deeper issue, investigating whether race or religion ultimately influenced the officers' fatal decisions. Henry's father, Mark Nowak, delivered a powerful public statement describing his son's treatment by the police as inhumane and degrading.
My name is Mark Nowak. I am Henry Nowak's father. The jury confirmed what we've always known. Henry's life was taken from him unlawfully, violently, and without justification. Henry was 18 years old. He was kind, ambitious, loved and full of promise. He had his whole life ahead of him, a degree to finish, places to see, and a future to build. That future was stolen from him, and no verdict or sentence will ever give it back.
He highlighted the stark contrast in how his dying son was treated compared to Digwa, noting that the killer was immediately believed, never handcuffed, and even allowed to choose his food while in custody. Mark stated that the family has been given a life sentence, as the permanent void left by Henry's death affects every single aspect of their lives. Currently, Digwa is seeking to appeal both his murder conviction and his life sentence. Simultaneously, Solicitor General Ellie Reeves took action by referring Digwa's sentence to the Court of Appeal, arguing that the 21-year minimum term is unduly lenient. While the legal process and internal police investigations continue, the raw forensic evidence and that devastating bodycam footage remain firmly on the public record. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. subscribe to Crime Chills, and we will see you in the next case file.